So picking a good title company, how do you do it? Who should you choose? So a couple things on this. It depends on where you're located. Different counties in Florida have different provisions on who chooses title. So typically, Palm Beach County, in most cases, the seller of a property is going to pick title. Um, in Broward County, the buyer is going to pick title, and that all has to do with kind of who pays for for what for the title insurance. Um, so in Palm Beach County, if you're a buyer, more likely than not, like you always will have the option to select when you make an offer on real estate to pick and pay, which just means that you're going to choose a title company and you're going to take on the vast majority of the settlement costs, but 99% of the time, what we see is the seller is choosing. So if you're a buyer, more likely than not, you're just going to go with whoever the seller chooses. Same thing in Broward County. If you're a seller, you're going to go with whoever the buyer chooses. The buyer is going to pay for the majority of the title insurance policy, the majority of the cost there. One thing that I can tell you, and this is just based on years of experience, is that almost every time that the seller or the buyer has a specific title company that they want to use, the real estate professionals, and this is not every time because we have dealt with seller preferred or buyer preferred title companies that have been good, but a lot of the time it's a disaster. So what I have found is that if you are selling a house, right, and you have a preference for attorney or a title company or whatever, most people don't sell houses or buy houses regularly. This is something they might do once in 5 years, once in 10 years. It's not a regular occurrence. Whereas a real estate agent or a mortgage professional, somebody who is doing this, like we do multiple deals every single month. You know what I mean? Like your average, successful real estate agent is doing two, three, four, five, six, seven closings a month. Um, so the seller who is choosing the title company, they really don't have a lot of interaction with that title company. They're not boots on the ground. They're sending a couple of emails and that's it. The real estate professionals, the mortgage people, everybody who's like actually processing the transaction, those are the people that are interacting with that title company. So one thing that I have noticed is that when a real estate agent, you know what I mean, has the opportunity to kind of vet different title companies that they like working with, they are the ones who are actually interacting, and working with these people on a day-to-day basis throughout the course of a transaction. I've had a much better experience when it is the real estate agent who's recommending, hey, I've done 30 deals with XYZ title, we recommend that you use them, as opposed to the seller saying, oh, well, I have this attorney that I know and I trust. Um, the seller is not the one that, that has to deal with with the people. So I've just had a better experience when it's when it's a professional who's actually making the recommendation, somebody who does this day in and day out on a regular basis, rather than a customer making that recommendation themselves. So I guess my takeaway for this would be to I have title companies that I have worked with that are great. That I would work with again, and I have other title companies that I've worked with who I would definitely not recommend working with to a seller. So my takeaway would be to take your real estate agents, your professional, anybody who does this regularly is going to have a recommendation of somebody that they have worked with, and honestly, they probably are going to know better than you as a consumer, what's in your best interest as far as who's doing title.